Hi, we're here in Portland with Trena, and Trena's a homeless advocate. She's going to tell us about problems with abuse from drunk people abusing homeless people.
Yeah, we have a great deal of that, both in the southeast where I live and here in the downtown area. At a place called Right to Dream To, which is a rest area for homeless people where they come in and get sleep. We have a lot of bars, and so all the beautiful people that are dressed to the nines will be drunk, and they'll come along, and I've seen people drop kick homeless people, steal their stuff, people who can go buy a drink for $7 but yet steal a homeless person's bag and then laugh about it. We have seen them go by and slap them on the back of the head. We've chased them down the sidewalk. Unfortunately, a Right to Dream To has a policy you do not call the police, so we can try to handle it non-violently, but when you're dealing with drunks, it's almost impossible. Now, something more alarming that I see in the southeast, because the people over there are rural dwellers, forest dwellers, and they are what's called bum beaten. And we have people that will live in like a very small camp, maybe even just one person. And I'm thinking of a very sweet man that sat in front of me every Sunday at church. His name was Nick, and he was being bum beaten. These were house thugs, punks that lived in houses that would come by and they start kicking them in a sleeping bag. And they'd laugh about being bum beating the folks. And Nick just had enough. It was so bad that he came to me begging me, please get me off the streets. He had became mentally ill over the time. I mean, the life will make you that way. You've got to come in sane. You don't always leave sane. And another homeless man actually wandered into his camp, and Nick was woken out of his sleep. He had a tire iron. He went after this guy to protect his belongings. The guy got away, called the police showed up. Nick he was so distressed. He had so much PTSD from being bum beaten that he raised it and went after the police officer, and the police officer had to shoot and kill. The police officer really had no choice. If you've ever seen a head that's been a tire iron has been used on, I have. It's not pretty. He really did not have any choice. But the whole thing is, Nick could have been indoors. If he could have got the mental health treatment that he desperately needed, this could have been avoided. I had just made him an appointment with TPI, which is Transition Projects in downtown Portland. And it was just, he was less than a couple days away from going in and seeing about housing, getting into something, because he could not take the streets anymore. And now he is a 30-something-year-old that's dead. And these are not unusual stories. We had the sweetest man, Native American man, tiny little guy, comes into the center, and he's got a blow dart, where some punks went by in their car and used a blowgun and put it into the calf of his leg, and they thought it was so funny. And they're screaming at him, get a job, get a job, get a job. This was just a sweet man. I was fortunately able to get him off the streets, but there's 1,000 stories to back that up of the abuse that our citizens. These are the citizens of the state of Oregon. These are the citizens of Clackamas County, Multnomah County, City of Portland, and yet they're being treated like rubbish by housed and unhoused. We have predators out there, which I call them the predatory element. These are the worst of the worst. These are the ones that get the headlines for the homeless, but yet they only make up like 1% of the homeless out here, but they will go out and prey on other homeless people. They will go in, kill their animals, take every bit of their belongings that they can sell. And unfortunately, some of them are so vicious that they'll walk right into a camp with people there and go into their tent and grab anything that's of any value. And then they'll come out and say, you want to do something about it? Well, people are so afraid of them because these people carry weapons. This is a very ugly element. The police are putting them in jail and then releasing them because they get probation violations, and then they do their time and they're right back out on the street. I have a stalker who I had made life pretty rough for because he was beating on women, homeless women, even sexually assaulting them. And he turned around and he goes to jail about every 3 weeks. He'll spend 3 weeks in jail and then get out again and victimize somebody else. And our jurisprudence system apparently is not able to keep the folks in where they belong. And those people truly do need to be incarcerated, but yet they're out victimizing the homeless who are getting thrown in jail or told to move on, or being, the resources, the economy of what is going on is just shameful. You attack or bully the homeless people, but yet you just barely address the monsters that are out there victimizing homeless people. It's everywhere in the Southeast. We have a lot of gangs out there that are house thugs. They live in homes. A lot of them come from good homes, but they like to be bad boys and girls. And with the bum beating, it's for sport. It's not for, they're not protecting themselves. They deliberately go out and start hurting people because it's sport to them. We've had people die down here from being beaten, being stabbed. We've had people set on fire, especially, I've seen it in the Southeast especially. Pour a little gasoline on their sleeping bag while they're sleeping and throw a match down, and they end up with burns. But some of the biggest thugs are the authorities, who will sweep a camp in the middle of winter. And in October of 2013, we had a wonderful man named Alvin Smith that died after a sweep. And we begged them, please, the weather's bad, please leave his tent sleeping bag. And ODOT just told them, well, they can come get it just like everybody else at a warehouse. And he died from exposure. And when they found him, he was dead, but he had his little dog kept warm inside of his jacket. And these stories, I'll start crying when I think about them. That's just one. The stories are horrendous.